some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Hey, and welcome everybody to another, what are we calling this? Wanamaker April 2019 GunChannels special update reunion get-together celebration. So we are live with a bunch of the people from Tulsa and the area, the region, who had attended the April 2016 Wanamaker Tulsa Arms Show, which is the world's largest gun show. It happens twice a year. That's why we're saying April 2019. There'll be another one in November. And the show goes on for just two days. Largest gun show in the world, 11 acres of gun show, 4,500 plus tables. And that all happens in 2 days. And a bunch of people from the GunChannels community who create content and have projects and channels that they are working on developing, work in collaboration with the show promoters to help get the Second Amendment and everything it protects up off that gun show into the internet to share with the world, and to help give the people that are there at the tables and the people that are running the show a little assistance with getting the word out about all the various things that are happening at those 4,500 tables. So we've been going live each night. We went live Friday and talked to getting the word out. Sorry about that. We talked to everybody as they had met up in Tulsa, and links over on GunChannels. So Gunpowder PTIC is out on the YouTube side. Feel free to jump in. You've been to the show. But we talked to everybody kind of as they met up in the area on Friday, and a bunch of people went to the J.M. Davis Firearms Museum, the largest publicly owned collection that's available to the public, and then chatted about what was about to happen and strategies and whatnot. And then we chatted a bit yesterday after everybody's first full day at the show, and now it's the third day and the end of the second day, or the end of the show. And we've been off air for quite a while. These guys are all basically asleep, and been doing various things, bribing them, doing all kinds of exercises to try to get them to chat over here. So we're encouraging people that are watching this to be involved. You watch TV, you read the newspaper, but you use the internet. So use the interactive nature of the platforms that we're providing this on. We simulcast everything on GunChannels.com, the community where everybody in this room is from. And we're, of course, watching the live text chat conversation that's happening over there. We have a bunch of questions coming in from the people over there. That's the reason we went live, because we saw that there were people over there asking questions. And then we're on another platform that we use that hates guns, hates the laws that we appreciate. And we're watching the text chat from the people over there. So, got people jumping in who've been at Tulsa all weekend. I'm going to go from right to left, change it up a little bit. We got Sarge jumping in from North Carolina, but right now in Tulsa. And you got anybody else on your connection there?
I mean, as far as mentioning what I missed it. Just
oh, sorry. We just guys, you don't have your cameras on, and I know that you guys might be standing out front of the hotel with other people on your phone, as you know, connecting.
Oh, okay. No, I think we're all are individually mic'd up tonight. There's not as many people here, so we should be good to go.
Okay. So we got Sarge jumping in from North Carolina. And like I say, you're still in Tulsa?
Yeah. We're gonna stay tonight because it's probably gonna take us 14, 15 hours for me to get back, and then Obnoxious has another 3 hours after he drops me off till he gets home. So we're gonna tackle that in the morning.
So I guess that's something we can talk about, is the different strategies for taking time out from lives and jobs and other projects to attend a thing like this, and then the various ways that people travel and get there. But I'll keep going through the room. We got roll call jumping in. If he's there, he hasn't said stuff in a while. Is he asleep? Is he there?
No, I'm here.
Right on.
I was in the bathroom. I've been drinking again. Sorry.
Right on. And then is there anybody else on your phone with you?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, and then we got Obnoxious, also at the hotel, I'm thinking.
Hey, G. Yep, I'm still here at the hotel. Sitting here looking at Sarge and Roll Call and Ape and Jim Burgess and Cycle Camp.
What you thinking about? Oh, GunChannels things.
Yeah. Gun
So-
channel things, gun things, Second Amendment things, gun gear things, stuff like that.
Then we got Jim, also at the hotel.
Howdy, y'all. Yeah, I'm waiting to get in on some of this bribe action. Actually,
Into the what?
this whole bribe action you were talking about.
Oh, well, the time for that already happened. So
I
now we got Ape jumping in.
got Cycle Camp to my left, by the way. I may throw the phone in front of him.
I could barely hear you. I don't know if it's the volume or.
It's the volume. I'm trying not to talk too loud. I got Cycle Camp to my left. I may throw the phone in front of him for a few minutes.
Oh, okay, right on. Thanks. And then we got Ape jumping in as well.
Yep, I'm here just taking up half a couch. So.
Oh, so y'all are inside in the lobby.
Oh, yep. There's no figured up rampant soccer team and soccer moms taking over the lobby tonight.
So Grim just checked in on the YouTube site saying on the road, cell service is in and out. And I don't think he carpooled. He was with his people, but I don't think anybody else from GunChannels was carpooling with Grim, right? Like Dano or anybody.
No, it was Grim and his two brothers came down together, so that was his carpool.
Right on. And then, but still, I mean, there's something to be said for having multiple drivers, for a road trip. But then Clover, thanks for jumping in. And what Armenthia with you, obviously, but not connected right now because I guess it was kind of redundant. You guys are both connected.
I don't know why she's not connected, but.
Well, she's on
the road, so fighting a little rain right now.
All right, so we've had some questions coming in. So again, everything we're doing online is an effort at the new media, right? The new media is us. We're the media. We don't need somebody to send information out there, and I try to encourage that. So use the text chats out there. Anyway, so we got a bunch of stuff coming in from the GunChannel side, so we'll just go look over there for now. Sarge dropped a couple of what already? Okay, so David asked, I was wondering if has been much legal talk, or has it been more industry type conversation? I'll just throw that out there for anybody. Was there?
Well, I bought a rifle today, and there was some legal talk.
Oh my God!
I went and did an interview with Wild West Guns, and they had a Marlin 1894 there, and I decided to buy it. And for whatever reason, he couldn't do the transfer or whatever. He's like, I got a guy here that's here in Oklahoma. He's an Oklahoma dealer. I'll take you over to him. He'll do the transfer for you. So we walk over to where this guy is, and he introduces me. I sit down. The girl asks for my license and hands me the paperwork. I start doing it. And then the guy comes over and says, "You're from North Carolina?" I was like, "Yeah." He says, "I can't transfer this to you." And I just kind of looked at him. And I said, "Why not?" Because your state doesn't meet up to Oklahoma.
You don't have long rifle reciprocity, or whatever that's called.
Yeah, that's what he thought. I'm like, it's a long gun. Yes, you can.
No, not every state. There's a map that's provided by the ATF to all FFLs, and it'll see if I can grab it. Most every state will. Your adjoining state usually is good to go, but not like California, but not always. But there are weird glitches. Let me see if I can find it. Wait, so what was the result?
I've got a question. Where can we find said map?
I'm looking.
Oh, please post it.
So what happened with? Well, what happened there?
What happened?
Yeah.
He and I got into it, and I told him he was flat out wrong, and he took me back to the guy at Wild West Guns, and he took me to the guy across the aisle from him, and we did the transfer, and I left with my long gun.
Oh, okay.
But no, that took the whole new gun smell right off that gun. But yeah, he pulled up the ATF website and says an unlicensed person transferring to another can't do it unless the state. And I'm like, but you have a license. He's like, but you don't. But you're transferring to me. And he's like, yeah, but you don't have a license. And then he started to get really belligerent. And when we got back over there to the Wild West Guns, I was talking to the guy there, and I told the other guy, just go away. You're not going to do anything. You can't do anything. You don't want to do anything. Just go away. And I was talking to the guy at Wild West Guns, and I said, well, he's just flat out wrong. And the guy comes running back at me. Did you call me a liar? I said, no. I said, you're flat out wrong. What you are. Goodbye. Go. Psycho Camp says, "Be gone, foul demon." Yeah, and he threw out the. I was in law enforcement for 10 years at me, so yeah, took the new gun smell right off that new gun. So I got to get home and shoot it so I can get the new gun smell back. But that was my gun buying experience at the show.
So where do we start that one with? Was one of the questions over here. So that was actually, what was the conversations like? Was it more legal or was it more industry type conversations?
Yeah,
and conversations we overheard at the show.
That was my legal conversation at the show.
Anybody else? See, told you we're gonna have a bunch of dead air.
I think overall it was just industry stuff or interest, the things we were interested in. I don't think there was a ton of legal conversation. I mean, while I was here over the weekend, I followed the meltdown of some legal stuff in Texas, but that had nothing to do with the show.
I got a lot of sympathy in Connecticut.
It really, a lot of what we talked about was about some of the older guns and some of the collectible guns and what was at a show of this magnitude. And I mean, I've never seen so many Colt Pythons in my life or older rifles. So that's really what dominated our conversation. I did find something else that I want now, and I was hoping you could help me out with it, Chief. I need some education on baby Brownings. Micro Brownings and why I shouldn't buy one.
Why you should not buy one?
I need you to talk me out of it.
I don't know if I have that ability.
Well, I know I can't talk myself out of it, so I was hoping.
I've never practiced that skill before. Talk someone out of a Browning. That's crazy talk.
Now, this baby Browning, I had not really seen much of these, and I saw like 6 of them. That is the tiniest little handgun that I've seen that's not a novelty.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just never seen them. I'd only seen the other, I guess more that's similar to a Colt 25. That's actually significantly bigger. So I don't know much about these. I mean, do they work? Are they good?
Oh, heck
I mean,
yeah. So in 1903 or something, Browning decided 25 ACP should exist, so he made it, and then he built the baby Browning to shoot it, and then well, FN started making it, and then eventually Colt put a safety on it and started making it, and pretty much every company out there started ripping them off. Millions and millions and millions of them have been made. They've been around since 1903 or 1908. I forget what year. Turn of the century. So they're awesome. I mean, the round is awesome. The cartridge is awesome, and that's literally the gun he created to work. To make. That's what they're for. So there's the originals, like the FNs and the Colts, and then there's all the derivatives of the Bauer, for example. Then all the cheaper versions. So if you're just looking for a neat piece of history, they're awesome. If you're looking for like a useful 25 ACP, the reason there's millions of them is because they work. I mean, they're literally a cool little gun.
This what was labeled as the baby Browning was smaller than anything else I'd seen. I'd seen these Colts a lot, and they're like, I mean, they're a good 25% bigger. I had never seen this tiny gun. I guess I just hadn't been exposed to enough of those older weapons, because it surprised me how small it was. I mean, it's small. How many did they hold? Like 5?
Six, I think. 6 and 1, or 5 and 1. 5 or 6 or more. 6 and 1, I think.
Well, I've already been searching them on Gunbroker and stuff, and that's a bad sign for me. That means
yeah. So if you want to buy an old one, then you're buying a gun that's 110 years old. So potentially, so it's cool and it's going to cost something. But you can get newer ones. They still make FN still makes brand new ones, so you could get just a brand new one, and then anything in between.
What would be one of the more reasonable ones that I could actually shoot if I wanted to? Not necessarily for the collector. Well, it would be collector, but not like value.
Look at the Bowers. They're little stainless steel versions that were licensed copies made by.
I saw one of those for sure, because I saw that name, Bowers.
Yeah. Those are
okay.
Oh, they're good. Yeah. Especially if you like AMTs. I mean, that's kind of like the AMT version of a baby Browning. It's a stainless steel version of the metal gun that Browning made. And it's a little bit more practical, I guess, because it's stainless. Yeah, a little easier to deal with, but a little more acquirable because they were made in, the 80s or something. So they're not, historic, and they don't have that kind of cost.
That helps
but there's not a ton of them, so they're not you can find a cheap one once in a while, but they're not. Most people aren't giving them away.
Yeah, but I've been wanting a 25 for a while, and I would like to find either it has to be good, and B, I want there to be some uniqueness to it like that. Something that's, I don't mind having a copy of a classic, because it does have a little bit of history itself. So I'll start looking for the Bowers.
And if you just want a cheap something to have that's a machine that shoots 25 ACP, the Saturday Night Specials, the Italian, the Spanish, I don't know, probably South American versions are all still metal. They're not Zamek or anything, but they're weird tolerances and goofy. But there's, like 90% of a baby Browning.
The only other 25 I've looked at is, because I've got a little Taurus PT-22, which I like. It's just a cool gun. They make the PT-25. That's the only other one I've really kind of thought about using. It's a PT-25, but the Browning and or Bowers kind of piques my interest.
And we got somebody sitting too close to somebody. Somebody going to chime in with something else as far as that question is conversations at the show? We can move on to the next question then. Was there more options as far as media availabilities? What? Oh, I guess as media, was there more options for you at this show than previous shows? Is that the question? Were there more opportunities for you guys with your cameras and gals?
I thought the vendors, they're really getting used to the idea of us being around now, because several of them stopped me as I was walking by, and another one, I happened to start taking pictures. He had t-shirts, and he asked me, why are you taking pictures of my t-shirts? And I said, oh, media, blah blah blah. And he was like, oh, that's great, because I've had other people come up and take pictures, and I tell them no pictures because this is copyrighted content, and it's nice to know that you have the little badge and all that stuff. So I think the vendors there are really getting used to the fact that we're running around. I think that's a great thing.
Right on. We were talking about that a little bit yesterday, and I think that we have to be doing, you guys have to be having positive influence for just that.
Yeah, I agree with what Cycle Camp said, that the vendors were very receptive to it and curious a lot of times about what we were doing. And like I said, they're genuinely curious. But I did get scolded a couple times by the staff when asked if I had a pass. Holy mackerel. You never guess you just walked in. Dano.
Back from the dead.
Dano? I thought he left.
Well, we thought he did. I'm not lying. He is standing here.
Hey, I'm not. I can hear you.
I don't know why, but he is.
Ask him why he didn't answer any texts all day.
Why didn't you answer any text?
Because I was passed out asleep.
Oh, did you let him eat a roast beef sandwich yesterday? You can never let Dano eat a roast beef sandwich.
I think he's about to get a roast beef sandwich out of his bag.
Of travel through.
If Gary walks back in, we'll have the whole crew back.
Is he trying to eat a roast beef sandwich? Take that. Knock it out of his hands. Knock it out of his hands. Don't let him.
It's just roast peanuts.
No, I had basically three distinct conversations about the filming and the camera work, and the first one was getting scolded, and Sarge and I were actually together when we got scolded the one time. We're just walking down, we weren't even filming, we just had our cameras, and we heard, "Hey, you," and it was just, "Hey, you," so I kept walking, and it was, "Hey, you," and I think that's the first one Sarge heard, and we kept walking, and then it was, "Hey, you with the cameras," and we both kind of turned around, and the guy comes zooming up on his little scooter within about 3 inches of us. "Do you have permission to film in here?" And we both kind of grabbed our badge and said, "Yes, we do," and turned and walked away. So that's the first kind. And the second kind was people who were generally curious about my camera rig, which I'd talked about a little bit last night. And the third kind was people who were kind of standoffish about somebody filming, but not to the completely scolding and rude point of it. They were just kind of right there on the middle line. And I sat and had about a 5 or 10 minute conversation with the one guy who was that. And when I walked away from him, I think he had a little better understanding and was a little more receptive to it. I don't think he would have liked if I started filming his stuff, even though he was selling like copper rounds, and he had some cannons there, some like little stainless steel and wood cannons that maybe he made or purchased and was selling or whatever. So I don't think he would have been really receptive to me filming his stuff, but he did seem to understand more about why there were people walking around with cameras and filming there at Wanamaker.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely, anytime you're walking around with a press badge from any whatever organization that offers them, that's part of the gig, right? Is to do outreach for the whole concept, and that's seriously what we're trying to do, right? Is get the idea of people don't need to hide or don't need to be afraid of the internet. It's just a tool, and we're here as gun people using the tool and for good, for reach. So yeah, those people that challenge you is whether or not you can take pictures. Like, I guess it's all depends on the situation or whatever, but it's certainly 2020 hindsight, right? It's an opportunity to say, hey, thanks, thank you for watching out, because that could be an issue, and some of us are, you know, uh, what's the word? Got the credentials, and most of us are walking around. There's 15 of us, a chance to let them know, hey, don't assume everybody here is just rogue, but at the same time, thanks for, keeping the crazies from just disobeying the rules, I guess.
Well, that one, well, I believe that was like towards the beginning of today. It wasn't real early today because I got up late, so Sergeant, I kind of got a late start getting in there. But it was a couple hours or so into the show today. So if it was somebody that was there under some guise of authority or had some kind of authority or was just being nosy about it, I don't know. But if they were there all day yesterday, they would have seen the 15 or 20 of us walking around yesterday with it, and then today decided to challenge the two guys who were just walking down the aisle doing nothing.
Yeah, and like Obnoxious was saying, I appreciate them looking out for the rules of the show. I genuinely do appreciate that. But I deal with people every day, and the three times someone asked me, now vendors asked me a couple times, and they were nice about it. They were just curious. The three times that I got asked, I got scolded while being asked, and after I nicely showed them my press pass, I got scolded and warned over the rules that no people aren't allowed to take photos without the press pass. I'm like, yes, I understand this. I appreciate it, but I think they were trying to enforce rules from a couple of years ago when no one at all had a media pass. So I think they just aren't familiar with it yet, and they won't bother next year because they'll know to look for us. But all the vendors seem to really like it and we're getting used to it.
Yeah, I didn't. I haven't gotten that. You guys had a good run. Pick some good people or something, because you certainly get tables that they don't necessarily like it. And I've had some conversations as to why, and I understand. And that's why I've said that you have to tailor that approach and make them understand it's ultimately it's about promotion of the show. It's not even about them. Um, and showing their really unique, items or really rare items. We don't got to tie that to you. We don't even got to tie that to a table, right? Um, and it helps to promote the show. So you can take it completely out of the context of it has really anything to do with it. And you just gotta work that angle to where you basically ask them, and I'm not talking about verbatim ask them this, but you know, what do I need to do? I want to take pictures of your stuff. What do I need to do to make you comfortable enough to let me do that? You tell me. But on the thing about getting scolded, I've gotten scolded once. Well, I'll say scolded. I got, asked, hey, what are you doing? You got to be media, blah, blah, blah. And
Well, and
I've seen, but the thing is, I mean, in 4 times going, I've seen 200 people taking video and pictures with absolutely no press pass. Of course, I've never tattled on anyone or anything like that. I figure they'll eventually do it in front of somebody and get caught, probably, right? And then some people don't care. They know they're not supposed to be doing it, but yet they're going to do it anyway, because what are they going to do, kick them out of the show?
Well, and on that,
back in the day, at least, I've seen people escorted out. They'll take their camera from them and then walk them out and give them their camera.
Well, and like Clover was saying, like I said, I had 3 distinct experiences with people, and we had the scolders, And we had the people who were genuinely curious about my camera rig, and then we had the people that weren't really receptive to it, but weren't scolders. And like I said, I had a couple of those. I had one that I had a really long conversation with. I had another one where I had just a short conversation with, and that was when I was going around trying to film some B-roll of some of the more unusual stuff, you know, that wasn't gun stuff. Like there was guys doing woodworking stuff there. There was, you know, jewelry, and there were watches and stuff like stuff like that there. And I had one with those, and then actually I found out from Snob that there was one of the people that I bought a backpack there. Snob had told me that last year he had been scolded by that guy, and this year when I was down there, the guy was receptive to it, because I bought the backpack and I told him we were doing, you know, the filming around there to help promote the vendors and promote Wanamaker. And this was, you know, there was 15 or so of us there that were doing the filming, and he wanted to make sure that I got a picture of his banner and his information on there and get that out. So, and this was a guy who'd actually, Snob told me later that the guy had come up while he was filming and doing an interview or something with somebody else last year, that the guy had come up and actually grabbed him by the arm and asked him what he was doing. So, I mean, like I said, there are three completely different types that I ran into, and I'm sure there's more on, you know, whether they go one way, a little more one way or a little more. There's variations of those three different types, but that's what I saw. That, you know, this for my first time, that there were definitely three distinct types of people when it came to somebody seeing you with the camera.
What happened? We got dead air. Got a full room.
I was kind of thinking. I saw the fourth guy, and Sarge had a little interaction with this guy too. There was a guy who came up and asked us about all the cameras and whatnot we had. That he was like, "Well, you guys can film. Why, you know, there's some First Amendment things here, and why can't I come into a public building and film?" And I think Sarge had to explain to him exactly how this worked, and the fact that yes, it's a public building, but it was being rented out by a private organization, and at this time they're in control of the building, so they set the rules. So it was a little interesting dealing with that. Of course, this guy was talking about doing First Amendment audits on police and other stuff too, but I'll let Sarge take it from there.
I was doing the what? Oh, we had a guy come up and ask us about it. He was kind of quizzing Armentia about why do only people with press passes get to take photos. What did I do? I messed up. He was asking why people with press passes, and he wasn't giving us a hard time. But it was kind of like why do you get to do it and I don't? He was kind of starting to press that, you know, part of the envelope. And this is a public building. It's paid for with public funds, and why don't I get to take photos? And I said, well, I can answer that for you. I said, when you have a public facility, yes, but it's up for rent, and whoever wants to rent it for the weekend, they have control of what, you know, rules they want to put in place. And if they say they rent it and they say no cameras, well, that means no cameras, because they are in care and control of it for the weekend. And he kind of looked at me, he's like, oh, well, that makes sense. And he asked me what we thought about First Amendment audits, and I said, I'm not a fan of them. I said, those are I'm not touching you for adults. Or someone's holding their finger up to you and say, I'm not touching you. That's exactly what they are. And I meant to ask his wife, you know, like, well, he said he has a YouTube channel, and she likes what he does, and she goes, well, I like the gun videos that he does and the Second Amendment videos, but not the First Amendment videos. And she just shook her head. She's not impressed with what he's doing, so he seemed to understand my explanation. I was like, and he's like, well, you know, I'm not trying to be like that. I'm like, well, I know you're not. I'm just explaining why they can restrict it. So that was the only interaction I had with anyone with the First Amendment audit this weekend.
I mean, that was the technical reason, I suppose, why, and that satisfied that guy. I would think I probably wouldn't know that, so I wouldn't answer it that way. I think I would probably answer more that there's, you know, the promoter, I guess, the people that are organizing this event are offering privacy and security to the people that attend. Therefore, they say no pictures. And then when people they vetted people and they are comfortable with their awareness of the rules and their confidence in their following the rules, they'll let certain people out there with cameras so that it's not a big secret what we're doing in that room. And that's why the promoter has, you know, more than just press passes. They've got relationships with groups like ours, which we literally have dozens of people, you know, showing up to help bring the show from the building there out to the rest of the world through the various, you know, things. So I would say, you know, it's just really a way so that we keep the security and the privacy of the people that are here. If somebody's calling in sick from work, what's the point of letting somebody who's just being a Yahoo accidentally get that guy fired or in trouble? Or what if somebody's buying a Christmas present for his kid and that kid's online and now he gets spoiled, or, you know, he sees what his present is, or somebody's you know, somebody's mom is buying something for him for their birthday. Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
somebody brought up another point. One of the vendors, I know one guy kind of asked me what I thought was an odd question, and someone else said that maybe at some point, you know, someone from the left has snuck in and maybe put these people on the spot on camera, and maybe that's why they restrict it, which I think would be a very good thing. But I went to interview one gentleman that was selling a lot of AR-15 parts and doing some kind of some builds right there, or at least selling some uppers and put them on lowers. Not really technically a whole build. But I asked him if you want to do an interview. He said and he joked about it, but he said, yeah, he was like, as long as you don't ask me like any odd questions. And I was like, oh, well, maybe somebody has asked him some odd questions and tried to put him on the spot on camera. So I was like, well, you know, actually, I'm not even going to say much to you. I'm just going to, you know, kind of give you the parameters. You can sell your product, what you're doing there, sell yourself, sell your company, and I'm just going to put it together and put it out. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe they're trying to keep people from coming in there and putting people on the spot and just letting it be what it is, which is a, you know, a good old-fashioned gun show, but on the grandest scale.
I've had some experience. My daughter went to livestock shows, and I think along those same lines, they've had people like from PETA and whatnot literally come in and try to film things that they would think are bad conditions for these animals and whatnot. So there's probably a bit of that goes into the thinking of these gun show promoters and organizers too, where you don't want people, just anybody coming in with a camera and then going out and talking about the gun show loophole or something. So there's probably a bit of that in the thought. Plus there's all the boating accident guys who don't have any guns, air quotes, you know, that don't want anybody to know it.
That's actually something we ran into last year. A guy sat there and was questioning us on why we were there, and he didn't really want to talk to us at first, just because he's had bad experiences with, you know, people will show up and they want to talk to you about your company, and then they want to turn it to, oh, well, you have guns, so you must want to kill people and, you know, start an ignorant conversation. So that's what we dealt with last year. There's a lot of people hesitant because they had ran into that in previous years.
and that's one of those things that we'll see in gun shops too. We were talking about gun shops. Was it live? I don't remember where it was live, but we were talking about taking pictures at gun shops, and same kind of thing. If somebody comes in, does some kind of weird hit piece or reaction to whatever going on federal news or national news, then they get gun shy. So I think it's again going in and well, covering stuff at the show like this, or going to gun shops and offering positive coverage to help them out. That's the kind of stuff that shows them that all media coverage isn't evil, or it's not all even potentially evil. And that's hopefully we're combating that perception, because obviously if the only thing they ever got was negative press, never a camera in their store again, right?
So we have
go ahead, Cycle.
Well, can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're good and loud and clear.
So we have a story about a gun shop we went to. My brother and I went to it. We were doing the rounds on Friday, and we went to this little hole in the wall gun shop. And you went in the door, and then the whole place just opened up in front of you. And these guys, if you wanted to build your own AR, this was like the AR building mecca of Tulsa. I mean, they just had everything and tons of stuff.
Which shop?
So, when I put the video up, we'll find out. I honestly don't remember the name of the shop. All I remember, it was right next to the Tulsa drunk driving school.
Oh, interesting.
So I thought that was really funny that they put a gun store next to a drunk driving school. But anyway, they were probably there first. So what happened was I asked the guy if I could take some pictures. And he said, "Why do you want to take the pictures?" And I said, "Well, because, GunChannels and we're in Tulsa doing this stuff." He said, "Yeah, okay, go ahead." So I run off and I start doing all of these. I'm doing all the pictures and stuff. So I come back around to the front, and one of his buddies is sitting in a chair next to the door, and he says, "What was your channel name again?" And I told him my channel name, and he goes in and he says, "Oh yeah, I see here, and I see here, stuff you posted from Wanamaker's last year." I said, "Oh, that's really great." Now all of a sudden it's like, "Hey, how would you like to see something really cool?" And they take us into the back room where the safes are, and they start bringing out these guns that are absolutely phenomenal guns, like one-of-a-kind guns. And he starts talking about the fact that he collects like 80s and 90s sniper rifles, and he's got one of every kind of sniper rifle ever made, in those periods, and some of the NFA stuff he's got. But it was just knowing that we were okay people just opened that door up for us, and it was a really great experience. And I have some videos of that stuff that I'll cobble together and put out when I get back home.
Right on. Yeah, that's not a given or anything, but it's certainly a fringe benefit of putting effort into a project. Sure, it's nice to be able to have somebody who's savvy, right? And what's your channel? Be able to go click, click, click. That's pretty neat.
So they just vetted him right there on the spot. That's vet you on the spot, and then take you back and show you all the good stuff.
That's actually why I stuck with photography, because I actually have an established Instagram thing, but as far as YouTube presence or any other video sharing, I'm not there yet. So that's kind of what I stuck to this year around.
Yeah, but you're not always standing in line to talk to Magpul or Colt and try to offer them metrics that will, deem you worthy. You walk up to someone who's never had a picture taken of their product before, and you're their favorite media personality. Who cares how big your channel is?
That's exactly right, what you just said. The smaller ones or the ones that are new to it, you're automatically their favorite person.
In 4,500 tables, there's lots of potential at that show right there, right?
And I did what I believe it was Hosh said, and you may back it up about putting a QR code on the front of your business card. Man, that takes all the work out of it for them to click on your YouTube site and see who you are, and then to see their video when it comes out.
Oh, wait, you have QR codes and business cards and.
I'm not gonna.
Some people are just over prepared. What can I tell you?
Right.
Business cards, yes. You want to have a business card. That's been tradition for a long, long time. But the QR codes, I had them on my cards for a while. I won't put them on anymore. Not enough people. That's not a regular enough thing. And tech people don't need the code. They know how to read.com and know what it is. And everybody else, I think you do just as good for the non-tech people with the little, we do reviews of guns, or, we're the regular person's perspective on this, or something, like just a quick, regular, plain English version. Of course, this is after the show, so this doesn't do anybody any good until next show or whatever. But when I go into gun shops and when I go to tables, when we do, when we're just creating content, when we go into a show to just create content, we learned a long time ago, brevity rules, right? Either they know what you're doing or they don't, and they care or they don't. And honestly, it all comes down to yes or no. Like, seriously, no matter how you're going to look at it, it's either yes or no. And once you've been doing it and you're comfortable with it, take me up on this, but you just walk up to the table and go, do you mind if I take some pictures? Yes or no. And then I'm telling you from my experience doing that, do you mind if I take some pictures? Just that alone, in a gun shop, at a show, whatever, probably 80% plus of the time, go ahead, take pictures. I don't care. And then that 10% or 20% or something that might hesitate, you can eliminate all of that completely at this show by saying, I'm here working with the show. Can I take pictures of your table? I'm doing press for Wanamaker. Can I take pictures of your table? Like, I'm here taking pictures for the show, is usually what I say at Wanamaker. So, but in a gun shop or whatever, can I take some pictures? Leave it like that. And then if they ask, I share them on the internet. That's as much as I've ever said. Every single gun show loophole tour, hundreds of gun shops, I think, at this point. Can I take pictures of your shop? You mind if I take a couple of pictures of your shop? 80% of the time, that's all there is. Done. I don't have to explain nothing. I don't have to justify nothing. They don't care. They're done. I'm taking my pictures and I'm out of there. I don't owe them nothing. If it turns out their shop sucks, I can just leave. I didn't have to rub them, get them all excited and tell them how great I am, and give them something, some potential return for letting me take pictures. If they say no pictures, I just leave, or depending on the shop or whatever. I'm just, okay, no problem. Put camera away at least, because there's other shops out there that will let you take the pictures or whatever. But worrying about like what to tell them or whatever is just not necessary. Almost nobody cares anymore. All that work's been done as far as like explaining why we take pictures. So Snob's wife, I'm guessing they're home if she's already going to sleep. But they're probably closer than just about everybody.
Yeah, they got home just a little bit ago. We went and got a Monte Cristo sandwich at a place on Route 66, and then they went home from there.
Okay, so you guys did get to go out and eat tonight?
Yeah, I've never seen a Monte Cristo sandwich on a menu, and I guess we pretty much almost all got it. You got two.
You've never ate one before, or you've never seen one on a menu?
No, I've never ate one nor seen one on a menu.
And we're talking basically a grilled cheese sandwich with...
Oh no, not this one. This was the ham and cheese that would be the middle of a grilled ham and cheese, but it was and turkey, but it was made in what was a funnel cake batter. Basically, it's exactly what it tasted like.
What?
And then
I don't even think there could be turkey in a Monte Cristo.
This was no midnight range Monte Cristo. This was actually the real deal.
And it was it had strawberry preserves. It had powdered sugar on top of it and strawberry preserves to dip it in.
Yeah, this was a legit Monte Cristo. It was the real deal.
I thought they were just supposed to be ham and cheese, and then like a grilled cheese basically with ham in it and then squished. I thought that was his main thing, is you squish it.
No, man, you batter the thing and then you fry it up and sprinkle it with powdered sugar and serve it with some sort of preserves, like strawberry usually. It's a really sweet and salty sandwich, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, even when we were talking to Midnight that time, he said there were a couple different variations. I'm not sure whether he really mentioned this variation, but there were a couple.
Like
I never heard the jelly part before.
Maybe not turkey, but definitely the fried sandwich with the sweet stuff on it.
This was up by Claremore or someplace else?
No, it was
By the whale?
there's a place called Tally's, right on Tally''S, and it was right on Route 66 and 11th Street, I think. And what? Yale.
Around in the fairgrounds.
Oh, right by the fairgrounds. Okay.
Yeah, and it was kind of confusing because Tally's was across the street from Tally's. Go figure.
The one across the street was like a package store, convenience store or something, and then
It's like a high pizza place too.
yeah. But,
Who all went and ate then? I'm guessing Dano didn't. Is he still there?
That was during his absence when he said he was going home, but yet just showed up at the motel. Let's see. I went, Obnoxious went, Snob and Snob's wife, Jim, his wife, Roll Call, and his better half, and Mr. Wright. Is that everybody?
I think you're missing one.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah. Gizzard showed up too because he was supposed to be on his way to Kansas, and I guess he got someone sent him a message, so he turned around and met us in the parking lot. But Gizzard is not in the Monte Cristo Club. He got a chicken sandwich.
It doesn't make me a bad person.
No,
but it makes you a horrible chicken.
But you just you didn't succumb to the peer pressure. It's all Snob's fault.
It's all Snob's fault. By the way, I just arrived in my town that I live, so almost home.
Right on. Good to hear you got there in one piece. Is the weather good for everybody driving home? There's no storms or nothing out there?
Perfect here.
It's been absolutely beautiful here.
I think Clover had some rain, but I don't know if he's
Oh, that's right.
around.
It didn't look bad or nothing. No, it just looked like wet.
Yeah, it was supposed to rain like 2 days here, but I don't think we got really a drop.
All right, so we got other questions coming in. Any NFA items at the show, for sale at the show?
Yeah, there were definitely a few. I found Cycle Camp's about to speak up, but I found a few. I guess old school. They're not really ARs, but old school M16 types, M4 that were there. They were like $35,000 each. I found there was a couple of. Did you see the D-milled German ones?
One with the splashes.
Yeah, the receiver was kind of re-welded back together to where it kind of looked like it was a whole piece, but they were like $1,200 and they were D-milled. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a Rising, a real Rising that was fully functional with extra mags and a case, $6,500 submachine gun.
That's dirt cheap.
Yeah, very reasonable. Well, I'm told the Rising is like the entry level machine gun.
Yeah, but a Rising's sort of a dead end. I mean, like you can have it. If you screw with it, you're ruining a piece of history, really, right? There wasn't that many of them. So it's sort of like you got to let it sit there. And
but not a lot of people collect it, so it usually goes pretty cheap.
Yeah.
That's what my father, who art in heaven, said.
Who makes it?
Rising is
the actual name of the company. We got to see a.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. It is
we got to see a Sharps. I can't remember whether he called it a clerk or business rifle. The gentleman told us it was the first Sharps that was shortened and kind of sold as a personal defense gun or how to defend your business. He explained all of it, but that was pretty interesting.
It happens. Sometimes often.
Okay, now we got dead air again. We'll start penalizing everybody for dead air. This is uncalled for.
So you were talking about the, people's reactions to the taping and stuff. I had a funny reaction today. Quick story. So I'm at this booth, and I asked permission, and I'm taking pictures at the booth. And I stop, and I start to walk around, and there's these two mature ladies sitting in the booth next door. And they say, "Oh, what's this all about? What's this photography stuff?" And I say, "Well, Wanamaker's allows us to take pictures of the show." And one of the ladies says, "Well, no one's taking any." And I say, and basically we take pictures of stuff we find particularly interesting, or that kind of thing. So one of the ladies says, "Well, nobody's taking any pictures of us, and we're pretty interesting and exciting." So I had to tell her that there was a morals clause that we couldn't put stuff on the internet that caused people to get too excited. So we had to limit what kind of pictures we took of people, and I thought they were going to fall right out of their chairs. So it was a lot of fun.
I think somebody is a smooth talker.
So Guy is saying, I don't know. I don't know if he's in the middle of a conversation there or what, but is it fine for people to pull out their phones? Don't even ask if they can film you. I'm guessing he's talking about at a gun show or whatever, and that's one of the reasons I think that we're talking about. That's why they say no cameras, is because you're basically, I don't know, when you go to a sporting event, do they say no cameras?
A lot of times they do.
I wonder if it's because people are sitting there filling out transfer forms and they don't want somebody coming over their shoulder and filming their information. That might be part of it.
I guess that's part of it. I mean, if you go to I'm trying to think of a home show or some sort of a show where they're selling stuff. I mean, if you go to an art show, they'll sometimes say no cameras because they don't want you taking a bunch of pictures of their art, right? Or I'm trying to think, SHOT Show, a lot of the picture stuff is for multiple things, but one of the reasons was definitely when there's a new product, they don't want somebody just taking a bunch of nice pictures of it and before the technical specs might even be available or something.
Well, that was the situation I had with the guy with one of the T-shirts. I was taking a picture of the T-shirt, and he wanted to know why I was doing it, and because I forgot to ask ahead of time, which is my bad. And I explained to him, and I showed him the photo badge, and he said, "Oh, that is great, because there's been 40 people here taking pictures of these T-shirts, and not one of them asked permission. And when I asked them not to film, they told me to go F off." And he was, he was glad that I was polite and all that. I wish I'd asked him ahead of time, but he was glad that I was really polite and stuff. But I honestly think if it's a real dealer doesn't care if you showcase his stuff. But if it's a private sale, and a lot of guys with private collections, they don't want the world maybe knowing all the stuff they've got buried in the vault downstairs, So yeah, you can take a picture of my collection, but don't take a picture of me, and don't take a picture of my name hanging in front of the thing, because I don't want my next door neighbors knowing all the stuff that's in my basement.
Or anybody on the entire internet. Yeah, exactly. Oh, there's a very expensive collection of stuff, and there's his business card.
Yeah, that's another very valid point.
Well, I mean, I don't honestly think that that's an issue, period. I mean, I just don't. But I can understand that people are concerned about that. But I don't think it is. Just I've been doing pictures too long, and I mean, I guess bad guys could do all kinds of crazy things. They're too lazy, and they just don't do those kind of crazy things. Or what I think is we're just not that bad of people. There are some bad people, but it's not like we're all bad and laws make us good to each other. Sometimes, some of us decide to be good to each other because of laws. People are pretty much just all good. We're not looking to hurt each other and steal from each other. Every once in a while that does happen, and the people that want us to all be concerned about that because they profit, have a massive interest in making sure that everyone thinks that that's a bigger deal than it is. But I mean, look at how many things are on YouTube. Look at, cars, televisions, video game systems. You're telling me some of these kids with video game systems aren't dumb about their operational security? I'm sure they do tours of their house and, oh, look at my new thing I just bought. You know, if it was true that people were using the internet to, whatever that would be called, recon, you know, thefts, then wouldn't we see that stuff happening constantly? With more than guns. But I guess they were talking about at a range. So I guess it's up to the range, because a range isn't public property. A range is property of whoever owns the thing or whoever's running it. Even if it's run by the state, somebody's tasked with running it. Like, you know, somebody's responsible, and whoever's responsible gets to set up some rules so that they can actually have parameters of what's, you know, doable and what's beyond the range of what they can do at that place. I don't know. I haven't been to too many ranges that say no cameras, though, thankfully.
Range says.
My range, you've talked to Clayco 47. He's constantly filming out there. He does all kinds of promotional stuff.
Now, if you're at a range and there's somebody sitting on the other side of it, I won't point the camera at that other person, just out of privacy and whatever, respect of their privacy or whatever. They're living their own life and they don't need to be on camera or something. If they're 7 lanes down and you see a little head bobbing around, you know, that you can't tell much more than this big fat white guy with a beard, then that's different, I suppose. I think there's a difference between standing on a table at Wanamaker and looking out over the low side or even over the high side. You just get a better view at the low side, right? But, you know, looking at a bunch of people look like ants, that's one thing. Walking down an aisle where, you know, as you're bumping through and colliding in shoulders with people, they're looking at you and you're literally you know, your camera's doing that little facial recognition thing every time somebody looks up at you. That's something totally different, right? Plus, walking down an aisle, that doesn't really show much of the show other than how crowded it is. You know, standing up above and looking down, that gives a scale or some perspective on the thing. Somebody said something? Jim?
I just unmuted. I was tapping back and forth.
Oh, so it's saying are there vendors that are taking advantage of the options of individual channel specialties like Clover's podcast format? I mean, yeah, right? Clover's got the guy that's doing the monthly target or something for Clover's podcast. I think other people have done some other kind of stuff, at least to get reviews or interviews or set up guest spots on shows. But are the vendors taking advantage? I mean, when they're given the opportunity, it's not as though our presence at the show is so well known that there's like a waiting list that, you know, the vendors are calling somebody ahead of time and saying, hey, make sure the GunChannels people come by. It could go to that. I don't see any reason why it couldn't get to that point. Somebody had asked, oh, go ahead.
There were some guys who made appointments. I know Roll Call was doing several appointments, and so was Gizzard. But, you know, then again, I don't know that anybody who these guys were talking to knew, you know, Clover has this specialty and kind of this format, and Gizzard Gary has this, you know, going on. I think they just saw the opportunity to do a little self-promotion and get their name out there and that sort of thing. So,
and I'm sure if we were having a discussion like this, I don't know, I'm guessing it doesn't happen, but I'm most hoping it happens, that a bunch of vendors get together and have talks like this. Then hopefully they'll think, hey, you know, those like YouTubers that are walking around with the press passes, like, you know, that's a great opportunity to talk with them, get, you know, cut your teeth on them. And then, you know, when you have the new model come out or the big project for the year or something, then you'll have had some experience what it's like talking in front of a camera. You can chat with these people just at your table, and then a couple of days later, you know, you can go watch what it looked like, and now you can go, oh, you know, snap, maybe I should be wearing a shirt that, you know, if I'm standing at my table selling my product, maybe I should be wearing my shirt, so that when these videos happen every time they show me, then you're getting a logo or whatever. Like Sarge right there, right? His logo is up. I call that like a pocket size, whatever, like up, where the pocket would be on a shirt. I think that's like 1,000 times better than a giant logo on your chest for the kind of stuff where somebody's doing an interview, because everybody's interview style is different. Some people love to see like the whole torso, right? Like if somebody's sitting at a desk, like they're going to have their whole hands and torso and head and everything in it. Other people, are straight into the, what do you call, like the head and shoulders kind of view. And, if they do a head and shoulders type of thing, whatever you had on your shirt's gone. So that kind of thing, like Sarge is doing here, or a hat, right, is going to keep something in frame all the time. So that's the kind of thing that hopefully the vendors are, if they're not getting together and talking about it, at least they're hopefully seeing that that's happening, that as they get interviewed or as they see other people interviewed, they go, oh crap, maybe I should set up my table differently because I never noticed that it's so dark, or I didn't realize that my signage doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I think, like you said, it's also something that can't be taken out of the video if someone else borrows it from us. You get it up there, get it up in the top if you're doing an interview, and it can't really be cut out later. So, but hey, I appreciate the invite. I'm gonna slip out. I gotta run, take a break for just a second, then I gotta jump on Midnight Ranges chat. But I appreciate the interview, and I had a blast this weekend.
Midnight Ranges chat? What?
Yeah.
Well, that guy's corking us. Even though he has two invites, he has an invite in an email, and he has an invite in the thing.
He's like, corking you in reverse.
I'm not going to share. I'm on my own show.
Hey, I appreciate the invite.
Yeah.
Talk to you guys in a little bit. Bye.
In a little bit, like as he assumes we're all going to go over to Midnight Show, bunch of pancake sloppiness.
Well, I hate to be the one that does this too, but I'm gonna drop out and go over to Midnight Ranges too. But I've got to prepare a toilet gag for going over there. So I appreciate the invite, G, and I'm sure we'll hop on with you maybe tomorrow night, depending on when I'm getting back and how dead I am.
Right on. Well, have a safe trip. If we don't chat before then, good drive and safe travels and all that.
All right. Thank you, sir.
What is this world coming to?
Seriously. So Pancake Sloppy Batter is going to get all over and ruin the Tulsa chat. So that's what's happening.
Well, I'm not.
Is he already live or is he about to go live? And these people are ditching out just to go get ready. Like they need 15 minutes of prep time to get ready for Pancake Sloppy Batter show.
I literally think it's go 15 minutes to get ready time. But you got to go over. Obnoxious got to go over there and offend Midnight Range. So
you got to take showers, comb their hair and stuff, get their new clothes on that they brought for the show.
Right.
I actually forgot it was Sunday. So, yeah, I totally forgot it was Sunday. So anyway, I just wanted to. I guess I knew because we were doing the Tuesday or the second day of the show. But yeah, I didn't think about what time it was. I don't know how long we've been live either. So is there anything else?
Are there any other questions out there? I can only see what's on my screen on my phone right now.
There have been a few, but I'm having to scroll back and forth to find them all. So they've been talking about the Monte Cristo over there.
Oh yeah, there was wasabi. I don't know what that
you get them going on food. They'll talk for a while.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can talk about I can just go over my first time experience in the thing, I guess.
Yeah. What was it like? What was it like compared to what you thought it was going to be like?
So it's ridiculously huge. Obviously, I mean, I've been to a number of gun shows, but they're like over in Conroe, Texas, in the little Lone Star Convention Center, which is relatively tiny. You could walk from one end of the building to the other in a minute if you're just going straight across. So the number of tables there might be a couple of hundred, 300-400. So just the scale of this thing is absolutely ridiculous and overwhelming in some ways. I probably spent 6 full hours just walking around yesterday. You know, I guess if you didn't know what you were looking for in a gun show, obviously, if you just wanted to go and check it out, it's whatever, you know, follow your nose and go to do what you're going to do. But if you went there looking for something, I could see people literally giving up after looking at 400 tables, you know. I was trying to find a SKS stock, and I probably breezed past 95% of the tables there, just scanning for that. So I guess the only thing I would take away from that is know what you're looking. If you're going there to buy, know what you're looking for. Make a big old list like Soccer Camp does, because otherwise you're just going to be wandering around aimlessly thinking, oh, maybe I want that, maybe I want this. So I had an idea as far as buying goes of the things that I wanted to go check out. As far as coming in with a press pass, you know, new to that scene, I was just, oh my gosh, what do I even do? You know, I mean, I know how to talk to people. I know how to work with people as far as getting to know them, establishing a little bit of rapport and getting in like that. But it's just, the whole thing was just kind of overwhelming. I think that was what I took away from this year's as far as that goes. What I would do next year, I guess, you know, if I'm trying to get some sort of content created or pictures posted or interviews, just make a plan, figure out who you're going to talk to, what kind of things you're looking for, because if there's 15 people that are looking for different things, you're going to hit something that isn't something anybody else is looking for, probably. So go after that and make it happen. Otherwise, you're just wandering around. Oh my gosh, there's all these cool things at this table, and there's some Arisakas over here, and there's some Enfields over here, and there's 1911s over here, and you know.
You almost have to go to one to experience it, because I was trying to figure out the biggest gun show that I've seen besides it is the SAR show, and I have no idea how many tables that is, but half maybe. So the largest gun show I've ever seen is maybe half of that, maybe. It's tough because there's nothing can put everything in one building like that, so it's really tough to try to figure it out. But I mean, I've been to gun shows with a dozen tables, dozens of tables. 400 tables is usually a lot, and we're talking 4,500 tables, so it's a unique thing. But hopefully it's not impossible. I mean, you can definitely, you might not see everything that's there, but if you do this typical gun show strategies and stuff, you know, just having a couple of things in mind and a budget, you might not see the whole show, but you can certainly see a couple of gun shows worth of tables. And while there might be that little nagging, like, was there a cheaper one at the show? I guess you'll never know, because you'll never be able to see it all. You can certainly find, you know, you'll be able to find pretty much samples of what it is you're looking for, and some, more than likely, a couple of different prices, or a couple of different ones to look at.
Right. Like one of the things I decided I was going to pick up was, you know, it's just a small, stupid thing. Most of what I picked up was doodads, like SKS stripper clips. I wanted to grab 10 or 20 of those. And I wandered around to a couple of, you know, you target those places that have all the pieces, parts, and magazines and stuff, right? So I went to one or two of those and find widely varying prices for the same stripper clips, and wound up picking those up. But that's just the buying side. As far as, you know, documenting any of it, you know, again, you just have to, you could, when it's 300 tables, it's a little easier to get to. When it's 4,000 tables, you probably, you can see an awful hell of a lot, but it's just 10 times as much of the same thing in a lot of ways. So you just gotta, you gotta figure out how to pare it down and go to what you're going to go to.
So nice thing about digital. Don't like it, get rid of it. Do it again.
After a few sessions, after a few times, you get to you can kind of get the familiar with the areas, and the upstairs doesn't change as much. It's their seniority and stuff, so people that have been going, tend to stay. So you can kind of get your bearings, I guess, what I'm looking for.
Right.
But it's not 100%. It's not a trade show where, those pretty much stay the same year after year with a consistent building like that. But because it's a show, because it's a gun show, and there's so many variables with people coming for the first time and dropping out from that seniority list, that it does change a bit. But yeah, certainly a challenge. But I mean, what a great challenge, right? Having too many guns to deal with is a challenge we want, right?
Yep, definitely so.
So you had the most bang in line. I don't know what that is. We're talking about out there. I think they're talking about going to the range or something. The way the building is set, no, they're talking about that range out there. So I don't think we're getting too many questions on our topic here. But since we're about to be competing with pancakes, I guess we'll wrap it up. And we'll say thanks to the people that joined us. This was our third attempt this year of having a room so that people that are at the show on their phones had a way to get online with the new change, I guess, to the YouTube policy. That kind of put a crimp in everybody's abilities. We didn't have the marathon, or the what would be a marathon, I guess, the world record attempt of having like every single person on their own channel live, which we were able to do last time. But anyway, I think we had a pretty decent after action. We'll do one again next Friday. So in the slot where Clover did his show back in the day, we'll get everybody who went to Tulsa back together and chat about the show and what it was like after a week's worth of reflection. And bring your questions. It's all about having interactive conversations here. So with that, we'll recommend everybody head over to Pancake's chat. He usually rips off a bunch of the topics from other shows throughout the week and kind of sloppily puts them together. Kind of a mess, but we got to encourage people that are trying. He's trying. So we want to send people over there. Head over to GunChannels.com. There's live stuff happening pretty much all the time, and people that are interested in sharing that or having others in on those conversations will share it over on GunChannels.com. So thanks to everybody who joined us tonight, and stay tuned for more of the same every single night.
Adios.